Let's take this concept a step further and use an opaque device to block unwanted light indoors. It's not a common application, but still an important one. A gobo can be used to block excessive light on an area of an image that's too bright. Because the outside light is directed downward, the side of the bed is too light, and she's receiving a little too much bottom light. The gobo blocks the light from hitting the bed, but still allows the light to get to the girl. And one more look at the comparison.
The next series of images will be done inside the house, next to this window. There wasn't sufficient light in there, so I used the mirror side of my fuzzy flector to send raw sunlight into my scrim placed on the windowsill.
So here we are inside. This was done with the scrim in place, but as you can see, her arm was way too bright. And I messed up, and I mistakenly was shooting JPEGs, not RAW files. So now I'm screwed. But luckily I saw the lighting problem and I fixed it. I did that by placing the softbox against the scrim to make the shade on her upper body. That forced the scrim's light to be more even across her. Back outside once more, this is where I placed the softbox to make the shade.
The problem here is that because light usually enters a room going downward from the sky above, the bottom of her is brighter than the top of her. So we either have to add light to the top of her body or subtract it from the bottom. I chose to subtract. And the result is more attention focused on her upper body.
We can apply a subtractive technique for darkening a background. I placed a Larson black and silver reflector near the window so it blocked outside light from the background, but still let its light accent the subject. While this is okay, I just didn't care for that light background. So the gobo darkened that living room wall, yet still passing the accent light to the side of her body. This gave me a stronger image.
We know we want the main light to come from in front of the subject's face. The main light here is the window, and of course it can't move. But we can block the part of the window's light that we don't want with the gobo. But I felt there was a minor problem in that it also blocked light on the background. We can block the light on the subject, but not on the background, by just turning our gobo like a throttle plate. That worked well, but then I also wanted to add some fill light with a reflector to reduce the lighting contrast on the girl. Here's a pullback with the flat gobo. Pullback with the twisted gobo. And a pullback with the twisted gobo and a fill reflector. I'll repeat my description of the process now with the photographs. Starting with this window light only shot, you can see that the light is too far behind her. The gobo blocked it nicely on her, but unfortunately also darkened the background. Again, that's not necessarily a bad thing, but I just didn't want that on this image. Here's where I also added the fill reflector to reduce the lighting contrast on her. So I twisted the gobo to still block the light that we didn't want on her, but let it pass to the wall behind her.
In 2002, I started working in garages more than I had ever done before, and the next series will show you why. This is a typical cluttered garage. but I spotted the two green drywall boards leaning against the wall. That started the process to use their edges as graphic lines in the background. I started the photograph that I planned to do by reflecting light from the big garage door with a fuzzy flector to act as fill. This was good, but a lucky accident made it even better. Her mother stood next to her to my right. In doing so, she blocked the original direction of the light, forcing my fuzzy flector to change from being a fill to the main. That gave me the idea to use a Larson 42x72 gobo to get the result in the next slide. The new combination of subtracting the main and redirecting that light with the reflector resulted in a much stronger effect. Garages will often have a lot of bottom light because of the pavement that the sunlight bounces off of. So an easy solution was just to use the fuzzy flector to block that low light.
With uncontrolled low light, we have some uplighting visible on the cheeks and chin. This one was done with the low light blocked. The pose and head tilt also come into play. Tilting your subject's head away from low light magnifies the problem. Tilting the head toward the light is much better. By the way, the previous image is not what most people would buy, so I did this to it. And here's a close-up of those two photographs to show how bad it is on the left and how simple it was to correct it on the right. Here's one more example of blocking the low light coming through a garage door. The concrete is reflecting more sunlight than the subject will see from the sky. I put my fuzzy flector there to act as a gobo so that the only remaining light is higher. Before photo shows the unattractive, predominant low light. This is the after photo when I blocked that light reflected off the concrete. This is an overhead diagram to help explain the final lighting setup for the next series of images. In this example, the black gobo is outside the house. Sunlight coming through a window was definitely not working the way I had intended here. So let's go outside and cover that window with a scrim. Back inside, it's much better now, but it's still too hard from the side. We need to block that light directly next to her, but keeping the light coming from in front of her. I did that by putting the black part of a 50-50 next to her, while putting the full scrim closer to the camera. That was inside the house on our left. This resulted in much more even light, but I still needed to add an LED light to light up the area to our left. And then I tweaked it a bit more by transforming it for straight lines and adding a burn vignette.